from Nashville, Tennessee. It's time for another episode of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow, where all things related to your safety and security are discussed, detailed, and delivered to you. You may leave with a tip that saves you money or a tactic that saves your life. So here are your hosts, owner and founder of Defend Systems, Brink Fiddler, and owner and operator of Herring Technology, Tom Herring.
Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow. My name is Brink Fiddler, owner and founder of Defend Systems, co-host of this podcast, and with me as always is Tom Herring, owner and operator of Herring Technology, also the founder of this podcast, where we like to bring you guys, well, just what the title says, tips, tactics, and tools for a safer tomorrow. Part of being safer and figuring out how to make places safer, we leverage technology quite a bit, obviously. Tom owns something called Herring Technology, and he's a firm believer, as am I, in leveraging technology to keep people safe. So with us today as a guest, we have Matt Samels from CEIA Technology. Is it CEIA Technology or just CEIA?
Yeah, CEIA USA.
CEIA USA. And I'll let him kind of introduce himself and tell you guys more about what they do, and then we're going to take a deep dive into their products, how they work, and how they could potentially help your organization stay safer.
Yeah, appreciate the intro and the opportunity to speak today. So as he's mentioned, my name is Matt Samels. I'm from CEIA, and I'm the regional sales manager for the South Central region. So that falls in Tennessee down to Texas. So CEIA has been around for over 50 years. We've always done metal detection. So we started with our traditional walk-through metal detectors and hand wands, and those traditional products have been at TSA, courthouses, and sports venues for over 25 years. Now, lately, we've been launching our new product, which is OPENGATE, which is our first ever completely wireless weapons detection system. So OPENGATE falls under the new contactless screening that everyone's looking for. People can walk through, they don't have to divest, they don't have to stop, they don't have to take anything out of their pockets. Now they're just walking into the venue and only being stopped for heavy metal items such as firearms. So we're really keyed in on detecting firearms and keeping those out of facilities while allowing people to walk in without having to stop and put everything on a table and then have it get checked. Now the alarm rate's went from about 30% with the walk-through metal detector to about 5% with OPENGATE. So because of that, we've cut down on the equipment that a staff needs to use and also the staffing that it takes to run that equipment.
Okay, awesome. So you guys have been in with the traditional metal detection stuff in airports and places and I guess courthouses for you said 25 years.
Yep, well over 25 years. So 9/11 really was what launched us, but we were at many airports even before that. Okay. It was interesting because in the 90s, it was the actual airlines that had to provide their own security at airports. So you had a company like American Airlines. They had to provide the screening technology. So we worked with all those airport brands in the 90s, and then it got standardized in the early 2000s after 9/11.
Okay, great. So, I mean, obviously there's a place for it always in trying to detect weapons on people that want to do bad stuff in crowded places or whatnot. Of course, what you hear about most at the airport these days are carry permit holders that forget their gun was in their bag and try and get on a plane with it. I actually have a friend that happened to, and and he knew the minute that they pulled him to the side, he remembered what it was all about. But obviously, you would not make it through a metal detector with that. And as I was telling you guys off camera, I set off a metal detector earlier today, literally with my watch, and I thought I had everything off and forgot about my watch is kind of big, so it set it off. But tell me a little bit about the technology behind. I mean, like I understand what traditional metal detection does. That's pretty obvious, right? So tell me, without getting too proprietary, obviously, right, and giving away your technology, but what makes this different besides obviously being able to keep the pedestrian traffic flow up, right, and not slowing people down and getting more people into a venue quicker? But what makes this technology different than traditional metal detection?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with OPENGATE that really differentiates it is the versatility and the portability and just the ease of use. So OPENGATE eats two 25-pound towers that runs on Milwaukee batteries. So now the setup time, instead of installing a traditional metal detector that weighs 150 pounds and takes an hour for a skilled technician to set up, now a team of unskilled event staff can set that up in under a minute. So that's how much easier it is just to even set up the unit itself, but then also to use it. OPENGATE it's still an active metal detector. So it's still a transmitter and receiver, just like it was before. So we're not doing anything new. It's just now this is a highly advanced metal detector. Some of our older units would have what we called resources. So an older metal detector might have had about 30 resources. Now OpenGate has over 300 resources. So what we like to say is that picture now of the person coming through with the metal content they have on their body is so much clearer now. So now we can differentiate between personal items that are innocuous, like keys, cell phone, belt, watch, all those items it can ignore while honing in on that firearm that has a specific metal signature.
Okay, got it. So you also mentioned that anybody could set it up. That's great. Is the sensitivity on it adjustable?
Yep, it's all done through a mobile app. So the only button on OpenGate is just the switch, turn it on and off.
Okay.
So it's pretty foolproof. And then through the mobile app, it has multiple factor authentication to be able to change any settings. So only your security team is able to make any changes on the fly through the app, but your event team that's setting it up on site, they can just see the battery life or make simple changes like turning the volume up or down.
Okay. Well, there's just been, there was the recent school shooting here in Nashville that I'm sure you've probably heard about, and we're going to record a separate episode on that. But, they had metal detection technology available to them, as my understanding. It was not in use at the time. And I think some of the reasoning behind that I've heard from other schools in the past, and you probably have too, for the schools you dealt with, is it's cumbersome. I mean, trying to get 2,000 kids in and out of school every day, going through metal detection, it's just cumbersome. That's also been some of the concern around some of the other technology in this space is the sensitivity, right? I mean, I don't want to go too off into it, but hit on that. Not naming any names, but you know what I'm saying.
The different systems. People say, do they work? And that's a very vague term to throw out.
Sure.
When we do demos and we have 1 to 2 people walking through, the sensitivity can be turned extremely high, but it's catching everything. And for a school, for a business, for a warehouse distribution where you have a lot of turnover at one time, for shift change or anything like that, what we find is everything's going off, so you have to turn it down. And as you turn it down, you're letting more things slip through. So does it work? Yes. But in reality, is it doing what it's supposed to? We were able to test, the CEIA product this morning, the OpenGate system. As far as ease of use, my guys set it up, after Matt showed us. We moved it from upstairs to downstairs, set it back up, recalibrated. It's 15 seconds to calibrate?
Always under a minute.
Yeah, it's under a minute.
I'm sorry, is that with the app also?
So the machine automatically calibrates to whatever setting it was last set on. So if you turn it off and turn it back on, it's going to automatically calibrate to that last setting.
Okay.
But through the mobile app, you can make adjustments, and then once you make that change, it's another minute to process and make that recalibration to the new setting.
But the app was amazing as well, because when you look at it, we were talking about how close the 2 pedestals have to be together, which that determines sensitivity and everything. And in my mind, I'm looking at it, guessing. Is that 36 inches? Is that 38 inches? Matt shows me the app. Well, it shows you on the app exactly how close it is.
Oh, nice.
And as you scoot it changes. So that was extremely easy. You're not having to set up a computer there at the check-in station. They can use the phone to monitor it with. Clear visual signs, red, green lights that, for a visual indicator, and obviously there's auditory as well, if it detects. There was a good point. Some of the other manufacturers out there, they locate where the metal is on your body. And to most people think, oh, that would be great. Then they know exactly where to go search. And this system does not do that. And there's a good reason. And Matt pointed that out. And it hadn't dawned on me. But if the security guard that's manning it his head is in a screen and he sees what goes off. So in another system, you could hold up an umbrella and walk through, and it's obviously going to hit on it, and it's going to show you on the screen that umbrella. Well, they go, oh, that's an umbrella, come on through, while there's a firearm hidden in the back, small of the back.
Yeah.
But they've checked what it showed them. So if it misses this, you have to scan then. If you set it off, then you have to be scanned. There's a secondary process that you go through. And it makes you check everything until you're clear. You keep removing items until you're clear, or we find, a nefarious tool within it. So
got it. So, well, on the note of the, obviously it's super highly portable, but your secondary search, I mean, obviously you guys as a manufacturer have a recommendation as far as what that looks like. Does that involve a hand wand?
So we have different processes. The easiest one really is what we call the yo-yo. So if it's a new facility, they don't have any other screening equipment at their campus or at their site. In his case with the umbrella, someone walks through, they're carrying an umbrella. I say, sir, hey, your umbrella caused the alarm. Could you hand me your umbrella and go back through for me? Now he goes back through. Now he alarms again. Now, sir, do you have anything else in your pockets? Can you divest over on this table and go through again? So you give them another chance to go through, and you let the machine do the heavy lifting and let the machine do the screening, because there's human error involved with hand wanding. People start to do what we call painting the fence, where they just wand over you. You're wearing a belt. It's lighting up. It's making a sound, but they're saying, okay, you got a belt on. Go ahead. And they're not actually checking anything that's in your pockets. The machine's doing the work. The person should only visually inspect what they're putting onto the table. So whether they have a bag, whether they have an umbrella, whether they have a laptop, put all these items on this table that I can visually inspect and make sure there's nothing else there, and make them go through the machine. In cases of high throughput, the best way to do it is what we call the triangle, where you have two open gates set up about 10 feet apart, and you have secondary screening in the middle. And the secondary screening could be used with the old style walk-through metal detector, where now you're going through the courthouse process. You have everybody streamlined in through the open gates on the two outside lanes. Middle lane is for people that are alarmed. So those are your offenders that you need to check. And those people have to go through the old style courthouse style screening, where they take everything out of their pockets, they go through a zone detector, metal detector. If they alarm, then they could get hand wanded. So that's kind of the best process for a high throughput application to keep those lines flowing in. But in an instance where it's a manufacturing center where there's maybe 100 people coming in per hour, you can make them do that yo-yo motion, and you can get people in really quickly with that too, without having a secondary lane.
He just painted us with a really broad brush. You notice that? Mm-hmm. He called us offenders. Basically, he called anybody that sets off a metal detector an offender. He just said that. I set one off this morning.
Of them off. The neat thing with this, though, I'm not pulling out a gun. My billfold, it's metal, it's Ridge.
Yeah.
Love it, endorse it, whatever. They're not a sponsor.
No, they're not. But they make great products.
But anyway, it's fully metal. My keys, I'll show you those two. It's
Thanks.
not
I don't
just
know
a
what keys look
simple
like.
key station.
Now imagine the technology guy has 19 million
flashlight,
fobs.
Plenty of fobs with metal. Yeah. My phone went through. I walked straight through.
Yep.
The minute I added even the small SIG P238 below subcompact, it picked it up immediately.
Okay.
Stuffed in my boot, stuffed in my underwear. I mean,
TMI.
We tried everything, but I could go straight through with the other things, and it picked them up.
What about knives? Is that gonna detect or?
So the intention is for anything that goes boom or bang. OpenGate's intention really is for firearms, and keeping those items out of your facility. Knives, if it's a nasty knife like a K-bar, for sure is going to go off.
Yeah.
But there isn't really a threshold for this size knife that we're going to detect, because there are knives made out of ceramics that don't even have any metal. That you could take to TSA with you. You could take to a courthouse, and you're going to walk right through.
Right.
So we can never be definitive when we say this can detect this knife, this size knife. But it's just the intention is for firearms, but you will catch knives in the process as people come through with different size knives.
Yeah, well, and let's be real. I mean, most places we go, knives are fine. I mean, this is Tennessee. Almost every guy I know carries a knife. And like every third person I know carries a gun, because this is the Tennessee. That's just how it is. But airports and all that other stuff, there's other screening involved to obviously keep knives. I mean, obviously 9/11 was pulled off with box cutters. I mean, so there's where there's a will, there's a way always. But technology is a great part of the solution. It's just not the solution. We say that all the time. I mean, all this stuff works together. The thing I immediately liked about it when I walked in and saw it just a few minutes ago was the portability. Like it is very streamlined. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like you're walking through like a TSA when you have to stand there.
Death?
Yeah, when you have to stand there with your hands over your
Scotty.
head. Well, actually, I get to skip that now. It's a TSA pre-check, but still got to go through metal detectors.
Yep,
And
still our metal detector.
yeah, so I think there's huge applications for this, especially on the venue protection side of the house. When a lot of the times, people think of a venue as whatever that is, Titan Stadium or Bridgestone Arena, but we take a park in Franklin and turn it into a venue every year, right? I mean, there's places like that happens. Heck, Bonnaroo's a farm, like that they turn into a venue, So I think from that perspective, I think they're game changing. Let me ask about. I mean, it seems like a silly question, but because of those type of venues, what about weatherproof?
Yeah, so they were intended to be made to be outside. We have these set up in San Antonio, Texas at SeaWorld, where they're set up from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day.
Okay.
In the heat, and we have these set up in Cleveland in the cold. So anywhere in between, they're made to be outdoors. The only thing is, as we saw, if they shake, they alarm. So when you do have them outside and it is windy, you do have significant weather going on. That's where we have different types of base plates and ways to weigh them down and ways to keep them from rocking. Or even we have some venues like the Denver Broncos. They mounted them to the floor around their stadium.
Okay. So they are. Did they have to kind of retrofit something, or are they manufactured in a way where they're easy to mount if you want to do that?
Very easy. There's through holes in the
Got
system,
it.
so you can even unscrew it and then tap the hole in the ground and fill it,
Yeah.
and then you can move them out of the way.
Got it. Okay. So how does the temperature range or whatever? How does that affect battery life? It's like any other battery. I mean, if you're running off a cordless rechargeable batteries, which sounds like you are, then obviously they're going to be affected just the same way they would if they were running a drill or circular saw, right?
Yep. So it's a minimal impact. So we've done testing in the freezing cold weather in Cleveland, and the best battery life we've seen from 4 batteries, Milwaukee batteries in the unit, you get about 15 hours operation. On the low end, it's like 10 and a half.
Okay. And you just like standard off the shelf Milwaukee, like you'd buy at
Yep.
Lowe's or any hardware store.
They're
or
right
whatever.
there behind him.
That's what's nice is you don't have to come to us for batteries. If you're in a pinch, it's Saturday morning, you have a big event, and you lost a couple batteries, you can run to Lowe's and pick up a couple for your event. You don't have to worry about us shipping them from Cleveland.
And I'm sitting there looking behind you. Grab one of those if you don't mind, so we can see it on camera. But it is a particular one and a particular size, though, right?
The big boy M18s.
Yeah, you couldn't get like the smaller version and
No.
make it do it. And how many of these does it take per unit?
So they're redundant batteries. So there's slots for 2 on each tower, but it only needs 1 per tower to operate.
Got it. And you get 15 hours, roughly 15 hours out of that.
Yep, and of course, everyone always asks, can we plug it in? We made the first ever revolutionary wireless weapons detection system, but of course, we do have power adapters. You can plug in one side, run the second on battery, or plug in both if you have
Sure.
outlets available.
And I get that. I mean, because I see a place for this that, like, even at a courthouse where you want to keep flow up, but you're going to leave it there permanently, and you're going to leave it there permanently.
Yep,
Then
don't even mess with batteries.
Amen.
But honestly, over 90% of venues still use the batteries because they like not having the cords and not being tied to having any wires.
Yeah, and being able to change the.
Yep, just shift change, right?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
the easiest thing. Shift change comes, swap out the batteries.
Yeah.
One of the easiest, the things that amazed me this morning when we got here, we set it up here
Okay.
in our studio.
Yeah.
And we started using the floor bounces. So it was setting it off when he would go through. And so we're like, oh, shoot, those floor bounces, if we'd had you mentioned sandbags or a base plate, it would compensate for that, but we didn't. So we had to take it downstairs. So take down, set up, we were back up and running downstairs in 5 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, we took it down,
Yeah.
took it down there, set it back up, recalibrated it in less than 5 minutes, and we're operational again.
Yeah, and
So-
traditional metal detector, you're what, an hour?
Oh yeah, I mean, just getting it down those stairs would have been a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, easily an hour. Well, I want to circle back on the processes, and you talk about letting the machine do the work. The reason I hit on that is because exactly what you said with hand wanding. We see it a lot in the security industry, some in law enforcement, but they just get so complacent with it.
We call it screener fatigue.
Yeah.
Maybe the first 10 people that come through, they're going to do a full wanding.
Yeah.
But by person 50 of the day, they're just doing it as quick as possible and moving on. Especially as those lines build up and people are groaning, people are complaining about waiting. They get panicked and they just start rushing people in.
Right. And the same happens with cops searching people too.
Well, I probably shouldn't say it, but I mean, if I'm wanting to take
when
my
has that
gun
stopped
in,
you?
if I want to take my gun in somewhere, I put it in small on my back, wear a bigger belt buckle, go through, goes off, they wand and assume it's the buckle.
They never
and
go
I'm
on the back.
through.
They just do the front.
It does work. Sorry, but that's human error at that point, and that's on them, not me.
So now we're cut down on alerts on the system itself, but we also increased red teaming success, because now when it does alarm, they're actually doing a full check because the machine's doing it.
Right. Yeah, those are all.
And one thing
really
we
good
have
points.
to point out, the technology is great, and Matt and I discussed this earlier. Most of the technology that we use, when we see failure with it, it's on the human side. Who's using it? Who's set up, trained on it? It's the process. It's following the procedure, and who's paying attention, and which we see at a lot of these places. They're not at times, which is getting worse because there's more demand for private guards now, which means the pool's getting watered down, and
No doubt.
we're seeing less and less. So we're depending more on the technology to hold the human accountable
Sure.
that's there. One of the things with technology that we also, our goal is to help eliminate as many personnel there at a venue. Bring that number down so that we stay in that higher quality personnel,
Yeah.
needing fewer, and then letting the technology work, and those people, taking it seriously and doing their job. So I want to make sure we understand the tech. A lot of corporations, a lot of school systems, a lot of it thinks there's the magic technology that you put this device in, we don't need humans, and it all goes away. Everything has faults. This system has some as well. I mean, everything does. There are exceptions, as you said. When there's a will to get in, it can be done. It's eliminating that to the smallest fraction that we possibly can.
Yeah, like we always say, our equipment's a great tool, but none of our equipment has ever stopped a gun from entering a facility. Our equipment has alerted the facility that there's a potential weapon on that person that just passed through, but it's never physically stopped anybody. So it always takes human interjection. So that's where we want to keep it as simple as possible for that human to do that job and do it right every time, because we know how serious it is, and we don't want to give them anything that can be misinterpreted. Where other competitors, there are screens that can be very easily misinterpreted, and they could easily let that firearm get through.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you brought up reducing personnel too, right? To keep the pool of personnel at a higher level. Obviously because of business and other things, we won't talk about particular clients, but I know for a fact that you were able to do that for a client and help them minimize physical security personnel based on technology that you guys leveraged for them to actually make their facilities safer, more secure, based on the problems that we're having, right? Because especially overnight shift, you got people sleeping, whatever. I mean, they're supposed to be quote unquote watching all the time. Well, the technology you guys put together for that particular client is watching all the time, and to your point, it takes human intervention once it gets an alert, but it doesn't go to sleep. It doesn't surf Instagram nonstop. Look, it's doing its job and watching. And in that particular case, it was watching.
Who are you referring to?
Everything. That one thing I'm thinking of, y'all built detects everything on the planet, from smoke to water to flood to motion to, I mean, it was incredible. But yeah, there's some upfront costs there too, right? To the company. Okay, well, that's going to cost me what I could pay a guard for 2 years. Okay, well, great, but you don't. After that, you don't have to pay a guard.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it doesn't call in sick and
right,
have family issues and
moan and have crazy ex-girlfriends and yeah, all the issues we see in the guard force world. So yeah, I think I mean, again, leveraging technology is important if it's important to do it right. And to your point, there are limitations, and people need to understand that too. That because you're right, people that aren't in this industry, like, and we'll talk about this in the next episode when we talk about the Antioch High School shooting. But you know, people are like, "Wow, we'll put metal detectors in every school, and that'll solve the problem." Like, no, it won't. There's more layers to that process that we need to put together. But there are solutions out there that are really great, and when put together with technology and personnel and training, obviously we do a ton of training. That's most of what our company does. You put all those things together, and then you can certainly mitigate threats and damage and all that. But there is no completely foolproof plan anywhere. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Well, one of the things that we love about this, schools, you know, they have a start time. All the kids are coming through at one time. Shift change at a warehouse, maybe 800 people coming through at one time. And that's huge for corporations, because once you stop an employee on check-in, you've engaged their clock running for their payroll.
Got it.
So however long it takes from that point on, that company is paying for that. So cost and speed is a huge factor. One of the things that blew me away with this, and I think we can talk about this, the concert in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Cat's out of the bag now.
well, it's the second largest human attended venue.
Event in North America.
125,000 people. And they all went through this system entering. 55 units were there at all the various different entrances.
Okay.
And normally it would take 130 traditional walk-through metal detectors to do that easily.
To keep the flow
Yeah,
going
even have everybody in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that blew my mind.
So it was half, right? Like,
Yep.
or less than half of the number of units. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were safe on playing it on the safe head and had extras that weren't even used
Okay.
because the ticket scanners actually couldn't keep up with the OpenGate systems. 'Cause that's the big thing. The bottleneck always ends up being ticket scanners at these public events.
Okay. Well, I got to know what was it? What was the event?
Garth Brooks at LSU.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Garth, who?
yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
It was the first time he was back in Baton Rouge in like years, and
Yeah.
it was a big deal.
Yeah. No.
Oh, he's the one that's married to that Trisha lady.
But
right?
you got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're sharp,
I'm
man.
all over.
Golly, you're sharp.
Here in Nashville.
Mississippi public education right there for you, buddy.
Hey. We get there. Speaking of, they even do Mississippi State.
Yep.
And he was telling me how they had to customize it, because if you're familiar with Mississippi State, yes, they're a little backwards down there. I'm an Ole Miss fan, so I can say that.
I got it.
Their tradition is cowbells.
Okay.
Cowbells are metal. So
Huge hunks of metal.
yeah, huge hunks of metal. They are weapons with a handle that you can. Anyway, we won't go there. That's just Mississippi State. We know how they think. So in order to not set them off, because that's high density metal, they raised their cowbell.
Oh yeah.
And so they actually had a marketing thing that says "raise your cowbell." So
Cowbell is up, so they make it fun. The kids all wave the cowbells when they come
ring
in.
them as they go through.
Yeah.
And so they're out of the bag. They're still going through the metal detector.
Yeah.
I mean, the
But
innovative.
that's above the open gate.
Yeah, so the open gate's
sensor.
about 6 foot tall. So
Okay.
from the top of the rubber to the floor is where it's detecting.
Got
So
it.
anything above 6 foot, it wouldn't detect.
Got it. Okay.
But the innovation there to create that and understand it and get it out, and it's made it a fun event. These are the things we have to think about in security, because it is a bottleneck at sometimes, and it's a hassle. But we have to figure out creative ways to keep it in the flow, keep it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest fear for the SEC as a league is if we put in any barriers for fans coming in, the attendance is already going down after COVID. So they don't want any reason for fans to sit home and watch games at home.
Sure.
They want them still to come to the stadiums. So they want that process to be as easy as possible to get people in.
Yeah, but also safe, right,
Yep.
and reliable,
Yep.
and it's all the things that it sounds like the system is. And I'll tell you this, I mean, one thing about Tom is you're not going to wonder what he's thinking, especially when it comes to this technology stuff. You know, they as a company, they don't do any kind of kickbacks from manufacturers or anything like that because they're completely agnostic and they want to be independent for their clients and find the best technology that's out there and provide it for you. So if he thought it was garbage, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. I can promise you that. He might be nice about it, but you wouldn't be sitting here. So that says a lot to me because, you know, a joke that Herring can't get rid of me because we work together quite a bit. But that's one of the reasons I latched onto them so much is they are truly independent and they want only the best technology out there. And if that means they have to mix and match cameras and servers to make the right system for you, they're going to do that. They don't care, you know, what the brand is as long as it works and it works well. But the other thing they do really well, unlike other technology companies that I've dealt with, is education. They don't just put the stuff in and tell the client, oh, you guys are going to be good. I mean, they are brutally honest about what it will do and what it won't. And I mean, I think that's why you've seen the company growth you've seen. But anyway, it's not a commercial for Herring Technology. Just I think it's important that you know that and that Chaya knows that because Tom is not going to put his name on something that he thinks is not good for his customers.
Oh, absolutely. And we want him to put it through the ringer. The big thing that separates us from competitors is we're always set to federal standards for security, for metal detection. So other competitors might say that, oh, you don't want metal detectors, that's old technology. So they don't adhere to metal detector guidelines. But for us, these are federal standards that we need to be set to. And we're not going to play around with a security setting and a level and leave it up to a venue to decide what level is best for them. We give them baselines of federal standards to start with, and then they're able to do their own testing and decide if I want to go above the standard.
Yeah.
One of the things we talk about a lot, and this made me so excited when Matt said this morning, and it came up out of a different conversation. Manufacturers who go in and baffle clients, especially at the board level, not even at the security level, and they baffle them with BS, and they give them things, and they, you know, not that anybody would give trips or anything like that, or
bribes,
kickbacks or anything else, and then it goes in at the government level and is pushed down to security. And Matt was like, no, our company doesn't do that. We have no kickbacks. We don't do any of that. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way we operate. And to hear that coming from a manufacturer who wants to get to the people that actually use it to know if it works or not. I watch this, especially right now, since school shootings have increased and the grants that are going out and the let's just say it, the crap that's being bought. And it may not be crap. It may be something good, but yet they're putting it in and they don't have anything else in place. Is it going to work? No. We'll discuss that in the next episode with the Antioch shooting. But it is so furious to me that we're wasting that money. So it gets put in and it's not installed correctly, or it has the wrong sales pitch that went with it of what it will do and how it was done, and then it's turned off and it's put in a closet and never used because of that. And we see that so much. From the time Matt got here this morning, that is all he has done is sports. We sat down for probably an hour earlier going over some other technology to put with this. It's brief cam. It's the analytic that we can do. So that in conjunction, and I mean, we were just brainstorming off this. This is what this manufacturer is doing, is sitting down with us to say, hey, these are different ways we can do it. That will, that analytic on a camera will keep people from bypassing this.
Yeah, sure.
It will alert that somebody bypassed it. So now you have multiple technologies doing anything. The other thing that it does in conjunction with, it's going to give you your people count. You're going to know how many people with backpacks, how many without, how long did they stand in line. And these are as we talk about the onion and the many layers that you compile with it. Nothing within itself works by itself.
Amen.
It's that synergy, as we've called it, security synergy of everything working together. And Matt has been here going over these ideas, how we do this, what can we do more with it, those type of things to actually get it to a usable product. It alone is not, schools, you have backpacks. Right now, with the last few shootings, guns have been taken in individually, not exposed. Some of the previous ones, they're exposed weapons coming. These have been in backpacks. Schools are looking at anything and everything. Businesses are as well. I got this off Amazon here, just arrived this morning. It's a clear backpack. This helps with schools. It's not going to prevent anything. Again, it's going to take human intervention. But if the kids are using these and they're walking through and it goes off, it's an easy inspection to do it. They're not the most durable things that I've found. I know me being so studious, I carried a lot of books.
Right.
Probably going to demolish. I have one coming from Under Armour tomorrow, so I'll test it as well. But, no one thing is going to solve our problem.
Amen.
It is technology, human intervention, and proper procedure.
Yep.
That's the biggest place that we see failure.
Amen. Well, Matt, I appreciate you sticking around to do this. I know it's been a long day here, especially having to hang out with these guys for that long. I know how taxing that can be on your brain.
We took him to lunch.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, good. Yeah.
Really good lunch, too.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I do appreciate you sticking around to do this. The main point of this podcast is further education for our potentially new clients, but existing clients, right? I mean, they both Tom and I, as company owners, seek and have long-term relationships with our clients. And people pay us a lot of money for our opinion because we don't sell cameras and we don't sell metal detection. We're a filter. There's a lot of good salespeople in the world. And I'm not saying you're not a good. I mean, you probably are. I think you are a good salesman, but I don't. That's not the reason Tom is behind your product. I mean,
we just want to educate the same way you guys do. Just let people know what our product can do and why we think it can work and why we think it's a solution. But also let them know what gaps it might have and what times it might not be the best solution. Maybe a traditional walk-through metal detector is better than OpenGate. OpenGate has opened the door to talking to a lot of customers for us, but then we find, hey, you might not need a $20,000 system. Maybe you need a $5,000 metal detector because of what you're looking to detect. So we always like to have those conversations, and what's great about us, we don't have just one product that we're trying to push for every single entrance. We have multiple solutions in our suite, from a small hand wand that's $200 to a metal signature system that can take the metal signature of someone's body when they walk in, and if they have anything beyond what's on their metal signature content of their body when they come out, it alarms.
Okay.
For loss prevention. So we have really, really advanced systems like that are, $50,000 and everything in between.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. And brutal honesty in the sales part of the security world is, say, fairly rare, but welcomed. So we do appreciate you coming, sharing this information with us and with our audience. And so with that, guys, that'll be it for this edition of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow. You can always reach out to us via email if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or guest ideas. And that email is info@tipstacticstools.com.
I'm out.